So as you may have noticed, we've got a lot going on today. This is not too common for us, but we're very, very happy to put this event on. This event is in remembrance of the 158th anniversary of a huge bombardment that's going to take place out here. That's all right. So we're going to get into that a little bit, but first I want to introduce myself and my fellow demonstrators. So my name is Dylan, and I am one of the Fort's current black powder weapon and living history interns. With me are Mr. John and Mr. Colby. They are two volunteers from a local organization called the Walton Guard, which does a lot of Civil War history events like this. We're very happy to have them here to help us with this event today. We rely heavily on our volunteer support from the local community to put on these amazing events for you. So let's hear it for our volunteers today, all of them. Now, this is our musket demonstration, so we're going to talk a little bit about our two infantrymen here, the weapons they're carrying, and they're going to actually demonstrate a few times loading and firing them for us. But first, I want to kind of set the scene about what happened here on Santa Rosa Island during the American Civil War, why Fort Pickens is significant that way, and why this weekend is so special. So, during the Civil War, Fort Pickens was actually held the entire time by the Union Army. It was one of the few forts in the South that never fell to the Confederacy. A little bit of backstory about that. Prior to the American Civil War, this fort, Fort Pickens, as well as Fort Pickens and Fort McCree and the advanced route, these forts were all built together to serve as a system to defend our nation's harbor and our newly established Navy Yard from enemy ships that would come in. Now, prior to a war, these forts would be operated by a skeleton crew during peacetime. There'd be a small group of artillerymen at Fort Pickens in the center, and they could go from fort to fort during the day doing their jobs. In the event of war or emergency, these forts could be reinforced to their full potential. Now, come January 1861, Florida is going to become the third state to secede or leave the Union. At that time, a young artillery commander at Fort Pickens, Lieutenant Adam Slimmer, is going to receive words. Hey, Florida pulled out. State militia is most likely coming to take those forts. Lieutenant, do not let those forts fall. Hold those forts for the Union. Okay, he's got 50 men. Three and a half buildings to take care of. The advanced route's under construction this time. He knows he can't do this. He knows the state militia is going to outnumber him. He knows that Alabama, which also just seceded, is probably going to send reinforcements. Slimmer figures if he can do one thing, maybe, just maybe he can hold one fort. He's going to decide that Fort Pickens is the best idea. It's on a barrier island, so he has full view of the other forts that they get taken over. Also, this is a very important position. You see, this fort's designed to stop ships from coming in and out of the harbor, right? Well, if the enemy is going to capture the Navy Yard, they're not going to get to use it. Anything they launch is going to have to get through this fort. Anything coming in is going to have to get past this fort. But there's so much land going east on the other side of the island that Union vessels could unload and resupply this fort, being out of range of the other guns if needed. So Slimmer decides this is his best option. So he's going to go with those 50 men to the Navy Yard. He's going to recruit 30 sailors, and those 80 men are going to come here to Fort Pickens, shut the door, lock it tight, and hold on. And they are going to hold this fort from January to April by themselves until they are finally reinforced. At that time, Colonel Harvey Brown of the Union Army is going to take command of the fort, and in time he's going to have 2,000 troops on the island with him, both regular Army and volunteers. Now, come October 1861, there's going to be a group of volunteers from New York camped out at a camp this site they're going to call Camp Brown. And that's going to be located where our campground is today. These volunteers are camped out there, and the Confederacy is going to send a group of troops over one night, October 9th actually, and they're going to commence raiding and burning the camp. This is going to become known as the Battle of Santa Rosa Island. It's going to be the first time that soldiers on both sides, these newly trained recruits, are going to have to use these weapons to defend themselves. Now, in response to this, Colonel Brown wants to strike back. He wants to hit the Confederacy hard. He needs Navy support. At that time, the Navy ships in the harbor were called away. So Colonel Brown says, that's fine, I'll wait. And he's going to wait for a little over a month until November 22nd, 2 days ago, Friday, when the ships come back. At which point he's going to say, all right, pull the trigger. And every gun in this fort, every gun on those ships is going to go off. The Confederacy is going to return fire with every gun on the other side of the bay. For 2 days straight, November 22nd to 23rd, these guns are going to be firing. This firing is going to continue up until the morning of November 24th. It's up until the first hours of this morning. Today, 158 years ago, all these guns are going to go off. Some historians that I've read claim that this is the greatest demonstration of military might in Pensacola ever. That's what happened here 158 years ago, and that's why this weekend we have this really nice event set up to share this knowledge and this history with y'all. Now, about my infantrymen here and about the weapons. So, Mr. John and Mr. Colby are dressed as Union regular infantrymen would be. They both have the rank of corporal, denoted by the two chevrons on their arms. Their uniforms are a little bit different. Colby's wearing a sack coat, while John's wearing a frock. Both would have been used by the Union Army, and they're both carrying the British Infield pattern 1853 rifle musket. So, this weapon is a muzzle loader, fires one shot at a time. There's 9 steps to load and fire, which we're going to demonstrate for you. A good man could get off 3 a minute, 20 seconds to load and fire. That is not easy, especially when you're being shot at. Also, these things can misfire, especially in wet, humid environments. Welcome to Florida. So that battle on the beach was not an easy battle to be fighting with weapons like this. The caliber on these is .577. That being said, it was a British-made weapon, and getting that British-made round was not always easy, especially for Union troops carrying this. So it was very, very common for them to take the more available 58 caliber Benet ball from the Springfields and shove that down there. Now, at this time, I'm going to go through some drill with them and show you different ways that these weapons could be carried. Squat, attention, shoulder, arms. So in this position, shoulder, arms, really comfortable position for them to start off with other things such as loading, moving the way they're going to carry it, and just marching. This is kind of your going off point. Now, if we're marching and we got a double time, we got to start moving quicker, I can tell them to right shoulder shift, arms. And now, weapons are up, out of the way, we can move a lot quicker as needed. Shoulder, arms. In the event that it starts raining, we are in Florida after all, you want to keep these dry. As I said, they don't work too well when they're wet. So I can give the command, secure, arms. Notice, the barrels are pointing down so rain can't fall under them, and the lock and trigger are secured under their arms. Shoulder, arms. Now, y'all ready to see them fire?
Yeah.
Pump out, base. Loading 9 times. Load. Handle, cartridge. Tear, cartridge. Charge, cartridge. Draw, rammer. Ram, cartridge. Return, rammer. Prime. Now, at this time, we're about ready to fire. I do want to point out we are not using any projectiles, but we are using actual black powder, so there will be a bit of a bang, so you're going to want to cover your ears. Ready! Fire by file, aim, fire! Shoulder, arm. Load it well, come to the ready. Load. So what I just did was walk them through a process called loading 9 times. I walked them through each step needed to load and fire that weapon. In training, soldiers are going to spend hours on fields just like this, going through those steps, developing that muscle memory over and over again, so they can do it forwards and backwards in their sleep. Remember, we're looking for 3 times a minute, 20 seconds to load and fire while you're being shot at. So we've got to practice. Now on the battlefield, I can't hold their hand. I can't walk them through every step over and over again. I got too many men under my watch. I gotta be able to tell them, load it will, come to the ready. And trust that they can get to that ready position. They can pull that powder out, tear it open with their teeth, pour it down, ram that powder, pull it forward, and then apply their percussion cap. These are percussion fired weapons, meaning that there's a small brass cap with fulminated mercury that goes on a vented cone underneath that hammer. That way when they fire, the hammer comes down, splits the cap, sends a spark into that vent, igniting the black powder and firing the weapon. Now, When they fired last time, we did something called fire by file, where we go down the row shooting one at a time in sequence. Now in battle, you see how closely they are together? If I've got to put as much lead down range as possible, we're going to do something called a volley, which is what we're going to see now. They're going to fire at the same time. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Ready! Aim! Fire! Recover, arms! Shoulder, arms! Alright, remember I said 3 times a minute, right? Y'all ready for this? Load it, Will! Fire when ready! They're just gonna go. When they're ready, they're gonna go. They're not gonna wait for me. The floor is yours. Yeah, what's your question? Yes. Oh wait, cover your ears, they're gonna shoot. Recover, arms. Shoulder, arms. Hub out, base. Preset, arms. Let's hear it for the Walton Guard, guys. Shoulder, arms. Dismiss. So at this point, they're going to check the weapons, make sure they're secure, and they'll come forward for any questions and you may have, take any pictures. They have a wonderful setup with a few different items that they brought, so feel free to go and ask them as many questions as you like. Also, in just a few minutes, at 3 o'clock, we are going to have our final cannon demonstration right over there in front of the Black Battery Pensacola. Hope to see you for that. Again, thank you for coming out and enjoying your national park.
Thank you.
Thank you.